Item 10, GTC, Council number 1, withdraw call for special GTC meeting by Ed Delgado.
The chairman wasn't able to be here to talk about this item. He's at the Great Lakes Intertribal Council meeting today and State of the Tribes address in Madison. He is asking us to not schedule this item for the March 22nd date, and that we go back into planning and decide when to bring forward his request. So
I'm suggesting that we keep the March 22nd date and use it for other agenda items.
I'm in the process of scheduling a work meeting with us so that we can decide what items to put on the agenda for a March 22nd meeting, and then look at the April 6th agenda.
Well, I'd like to just also note that I believe December 18th, there was a petition submitted to the Secretary's office regarding Seven Gens Corporation, and I believe Loretta was the person who submitted that, and I think that was going to be considered jointly with Ed's reconsideration, so I think for March 22nd, that should be added to that agenda. Because that's a standing petition, and it needs to be addressed at some point, and I think it would be timely to do so.
So what's your wishes?
Yeah, there's so many balls up in the air right now about how to handle this, and so I guess I would just take no action. I think maybe the recommendation is no action, and then I'll meet with the chairman to see if we need to have a special BC meeting to consider this. The deadline date is February 19 when we need to take any materials to the printer. So we'll have to move quickly.
He'll be back Friday.
Is he back tomorrow?
He'll be back at the end of tomorrow. So I guess I would defer this to a special BC meeting to be held before February 19th for the business committee to decide whether they're going to go forward with the agenda items regarding the call for consideration of the December 15 GTC action, or schedule different items for that agenda.
Okay, we have a motion by Patty Heft,
Yes.
or a slight documentary motion,
Sorry.
supported by Paul Linham. All those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
One opposition, Tina Danforth.
Mr.
Abstentions?
Chairman, I'm opposing for the record because a petition was submitted timely on December 18th, and I was with the understanding that would be addressed jointly with the chairman's request on March 22nd, and this has not been dealt with timely. And for us to even to try and consider to come up with an agenda between now the 12th and the 19th is not very responsible, and I'm not available. I will be out on vacation. And
I think that can all be part of the discussions that we have with the chairman. I've had several discussions about the matter, but there's very, very low attendance in some of them, so but we can continue them conversations. So we have a motion with support. It's been approved. One opposition, Tina Danforth. And discussion, Linda.
I'd just like to ask the business committee what their process is. Is it documented somewhere in which you utilize to call GTC meetings? And I ask that question because as a general tribal council member, I submitted several petitions almost a year ago in March, and those matters still have not come before the general tribal council. So I guess I'm wondering, and I'm looking for a reasonable, rational, intelligent response as to why those matters haven't come before the general tribal council yet. And then you have matters that have just come in maybe a month ago that seem to be really urgent and
well, I think that it was just explained these by both the treasurer and the secretary that they are of the same topic. So they
No,
need to
I'm
be
talking
considered
about
in-
the ones that were filed
Right,
back
but
last
those
March,
aren't-
and you got things that just came
Right.
in, so.
And I think as
this one
senior
seems to have
policy
more of a
analyst,
priority.
Linda, that you know where the procedure would begin. And it's within a conversation amongst the chairman's office as well as the business committee members, not an open public, so.
Right, I'm just wondering why all the petitions haven't been brought to GTC yet, I guess, to be point blank with you, is why hasn't the matter, specifically the one that I petitioned for, because a lot of people are asking me to bring the property tax issue before the General Tribal Council, has not come yet, and it's almost a year since it's been submitted. That's the one that's on the top of my mind. I'd have to go look back in my records at home to see what other ones were filed as well, but that was an important one. So,
All the petitions go to the Secretary's office, and we rely upon those submissions to be brought forward to this agenda. And that's been the process.
so I don't even know that that even came for the review process to be distributed for financial, legislative, and the other processes that go with that. So I'll send a letter. Thank you.
Or ask the chairman, whose office you work for. I would think that would be able to, we would be able to during work time. Yeah. Okay. Loretta, you had something?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if I can add anything to the clarity of this, but I did have a conversation with the chairman, and my understanding is that he intends to pursue the agenda that he's working on in this matter of reconsideration of the action that was taken on the regarding the Seven Gens Corporation. Apparently, we both have the same or similar considerations for that matter, and that's the key word is reconsideration. And I asked him if he wanted myself to write several points on what that means, or what it means to me as a submitter of the resolution, and I would do that for any agenda that he is giving to you. And I think this is a matter of utmost urgency, or I wouldn't put the time and energy into it that I have done. I think it's critical to the Oneida Nation. So I just wanted to let you know that I have had a conversation with him on the matter, and as far as I know, we're concurrent and have the same or similar intentions on the matter. So, Yanko.
Thank you. Kathy?
Thank you. I'm just curious why the chairman's not here. It's such a serious and such a important matter. You know, first you...
Well, I think you can get those
It's so
answers
important.
done. His assistant is...
Well, you
in
are
there.
part of it,
And you're just explaining
because
that
the questions are coming here to you.
Right, Kathy. But we're here to try to fulfill the agenda needs. Those questions could be answered at the chairman's office by his receptionist.
So
So
you
if
started
you-
to dissolve the 7 gens then, right? Because that's what over 800 General Tribal Council members told you to do.
Those are the efforts.
So I'm going to
that are
assume
being-
that you already started it.
Yes.
And then all these little games of reconsideration and petition and all this stuff. Because way back in May,
There
we
again,
could have
you
been
can take-
told
you can
everything
take those-
that we're still not being told. Way back in May.
You
So
can
all of a
take
sudden
those
it's
up
of
with the
utmost importance.
Chairman's office. Okay.
Mr. Vice Chair, I just want to just give an overview of the pending business before the GTC. In 2013, we had 18 petitions submitted and 1 referendum question. In 2012, we had 8 referendum questions. We're still addressing some of them yet this year. We've had 9 GTC meetings in 2013. This year, the petition that Linda Dallas is talking about was a petition she submitted in March of 2013, and it has been a year. But because of the amount of business that these items are being prioritized and put on agendas as we come forward. Now, we're going to do things a little different in 2014. We have set already 6 dates for GTC meetings so that it'll be easier to move items to a meeting date. The dates for this year are February 16th, a Sunday. We'll have our annual meeting, which is rescheduled due to weather. March 22nd is the next date, and we're still in discussions yet about what the agenda will be. If we don't move the 7 Generations items to that agenda, there are actually 3 items related to 7 Generations. The call by the chairman, the petition that was submitted in December by Loretta, and a petition that was earlier submitted by Frank Cornelius.
What is
April
that?
6th, I think it was related to when he would hear his earlier petition.
I thought that was addressed on the 15th.
No, he submitted 2 petitions in 2013. April 6th.
Mr. Chairman, I can appreciate what Patty's running through this list of GTC requests, but it's really not appropriate because we're here to talk about the GTC meeting reconsideration that Ed Delgado submitted. And
I think
so
it's important because these were the questions that were raised, so I'm just quickly giving everybody an answer. April 6th is the next date, so we're going to juggle between March 22nd and April 6th what business will go on those agendas. April 6th, we were originally slated to put Linda Dallas's petition on that agenda, and we may end up dealing with it on March 22nd, depending on what the business committee decides during their work meeting before the 19th. Then we have the semi-annual meeting, July 7, the budget meeting, September 22nd, I believe it's a Monday, and then we have November 15th set aside. We don't have any business scheduled for that date yet, but we've already received, I think, two other petitions in addition to Loretta's. So we have a lot of business that is going before the General Tribal Council.
Okay, that's a lot of information. Thank you for sharing that, Patty. I think we're going to end discussion on that. Item 1, we'll move into item 2, petitioner
what is
Lizzie.
the action? We took action?
You just voted on it.
Yep, and you made a statement for the record,
That's right.
and you
Okay.
opposed.
Okay.